What's up guys, DJ back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the reprints announced for set 10 and set 11 for Dragonball Super. I believe it's Vermillion Bloodline and Rise of the Unison Warrior, something like that. And there's been some leaks about how they're going to reprint that, how they're going to have second edition, and how that could mean that they have first edition for the older sets, right? So we're going to discuss a bit about that, and the reason why I'm not recording in my usual spot is because the lighting wasn't that great, so hopefully the lighting is better here. I also bought a new microphone, which I'll be using hopefully in the next video if I can get it, up and running by then. Hopefully the audio is still fine for the time being. Appreciate all the support so far, and all the new subscribers and all that stuff. So thanks to all you guys. If you want to enter the booster box giveaway, feel free to do that. Link in the description box below. Battle Styles booster box for 2K, and moving forward we'll do some more other ones, maybe a Dragon Ball Super one moving forward. So let's get into this topic. I know it's a bit of a funny one because Pokemon's had reprints heaps of times, and we've discussed that quite a few times on this channel and everywhere. Everyone talks about Pokemon reprints, but when Dragon Ball Super decides to reprint something, it was a bit of a surprise because a lot of us were saying that Dragon Ball Super Bandai doesn't reprint Dragon Ball Super products, and this would be, I guess, the first time hearing about this and the first time them doing this. They released news about it, that they were going to bring out these sets as reprints, and they're going to put second edition on the packs and the boxes and stuff like that. So people naturally thought that, well, if this is second edition, that means the set, the original ones that came before it would be classed as first edition. Now, I thought that was a little bit funny right off the bat because, if they intentionally wanted to do that, they would have done first edition first. That's the general rule, like Pokemon, right? You do a first edition stamp, and then everything else would be like unlimited or, second, third editions or something like that. So this is kind of the first time hearing something about second edition. Not many card games or other places really do second edition. They usually do first edition and then whatever else comes after it. So that was the initial thought that came through my mind. And I wanted to make a video when I heard about that news, but then I thought I'd wait a little bit and see if there's anything else that comes out, any other news. And there definitely was. So, they released another message saying that they were mainly doing this for the players and make it more accessible for the new collectors or the new people coming into the game, to make things more affordable, as they've seen that quite a few of the prices have risen for a lot of the cards and for the boxes. And for people who want to play the game, they want to make it easy for them to enter. They want to make it easier for people to come into this hobby, which is fair enough. That's what you would normally do. Besides the fact that, besides the prices increasing for these things, a lot of them were getting sold out, so you couldn't really find many of the cards, many of the boxes, so they decided to do a reprint. So they also mentioned in that statement that the second edition label will only be on the booster packs and on the booster boxes. Now, that is also a little bit funny because then what's the point of making it second edition? Because, if it's not going to be on the cards, then technically that will have no real effect on the prior, the first release of those cards. So, not to mention that those first release, the first release didn't have any indication that it was like a first edition thing. So I think this was like a last minute, we got to decide on what to do and how can we fix this. I think they're being proactive, which is good. And, we've seen this with Pokemon. They've had a lot of stock runouts, and, a lot of people are being a bit upset about that because, they can't get the stuff that they want. New players can't, enter, and new collectors can't enter. So they decide to reprint stuff, but it's taken a little while longer, and I think Dragon Ball Super is trying to attack that head on, quickly before, it gets as bad as Pokemon does, which is good. But it was just why do the second edition, especially if the cards aren't going to have any label second edition? And I think that was the assumption from the first news when people heard the news of second edition. Wow, that means they're going to have labels on the cards that say second edition. if you ask me, that kind of looks funny. You know, first edition always looks better than second edition. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's personal preference. I think that's just a common theme, like alpha, beta in Magic or whatever else. So I thought that was a little bit funny, but also now that they've announced the reasons why they were reprinting this, why don't just reprint it? That's fine. But what's the point in doing the second edition, you know, label on it at all if they're not going to have it on the cards? And I've seen a lot of threads on Facebook and a few people's speculations and comments and stuff like that when they first heard the news, and then the second time they heard the news as well. Some people are, I think, concerned that that once they've announced this reprint, that means they probably will go and reprint the other sets that are too expensive, like Tournament of Power, Assault of the Saiyans, and all that, the older sets. And you know, they're worried about their investments if they're going to drop in price because of these reprints. Now, every time we, you know, talk about reprints and people talk about reprints, they always think negatively most of the time, right? They usually think, well, you know, now there's going to be more in the market. That means it's going to be less rare because it's going to increase the pop reports. You know, it's going to drop the prices of the stuff that I already bought. Maybe those stuff that I already bought, I bought at a high price. Now, you know, with these reprints, it's going to drop the value of that. Now, you know, I guess everyone's responsible for what they want to do. I've talked about how you got to evaluate risk sometimes. So, and you know, if you're in this game for money reasons only, you know, purely just money reasons, now, I think that's kind of the wrong reason to be here. And that's personal, opinion. You know, I don't hate on anyone who's here for money. You know, they can do whatever they want to do, but you know that it's like a gambler's choice and a gambler's risk. When you buy a lotto ticket, you know you're spending $50 on that ticket. There's a chance you might lose it. There's a chance that you might win. You know, it's kind of the same with cards. You know, you might buy a box 1 week for $100, and then next week it's $1,000. Not that it's going to rise that quickly, but that could happen sometimes. Like evolutions, for example, with Pokemon, that like kind of increased in price overnight. That people didn't really, you know, switch on straight away. But yeah, there was a lot of different views on that, and I think, you know, it's a good thing. I always appreciate reprints because it gives me a chance to get the cards or the boxes that I want to get. I guess the funny thing is this reprint will have second edition labels on it, on the box and on the packs, but not on the cards. So it's just like, what's the point in that? And I did see that they said that for the time being. I don't think they have capacity to add that second edition stamp or something like that. Or it's just funny. Why do that? I know I've said it before, but it's just like really kind of weird to me. Yeah, sure, there'll be more cards on the market. There'll be more boxes, but I think that stock will be eaten up pretty quick based on how well Dragon Ball Super is doing right now. And you know, with prices and stuff, you know, you bought at your own risk. I think they are mainly focusing on the recent sets, set 10 and set 11. So, you know, when people say, oh, well, now that they're reprinting this, there's a good chance they might reprint the older sets. I think the old sets will remain, you know, and that's just speculation. There's no proof that they will reprint that or they won't reprint it. I just feel like, what's the point? They want to move forward. They don't want to, you know, focus on older stuff. Set 10 and set 11, they're the newest stuff, so it just makes sense to reprint those. So, and they say the same with Pokemon when they say, oh, they're going to reprint this. I don't think they'll ever reprint Black and White. I don't think they'll ever reprint even a lot of the XY stuff. And XY sets in Pokemon are like a couple years old, 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old. So, you know, with Tournament of Power, that came out 2018, we're in 2021, that's 3 years old. Bandai doesn't usually reprint, and this will be the first time hearing about it. So I guess it did cause a bit of, whoa, what's going to happen now? What are we going to do? Should we sell now? Should we buy now? Blah, blah, blah. And I think, you know, if you still really like the cards, you still like the artwork, you still appreciate the game, if you play the game and you like the game, then, you know, this news was just good news, in my opinion. I don't see it as a bad thing. I have seen some people sell the original boxes, so, you know, I think Rise of the Unison and Vermillion Bloodline, people were selling the, you know, the first release that doesn't have any indication, you know. The difference between the two, right? One will have second edition label and one will not. So people are assuming that the one that doesn't is first edition, even though it's not labeled first edition. So I know that's it's just, you know, kind of funny. I think if you're in the hobby, you would know, you know, you guys would know that this is, you know, the first release and this was the second release, all right? And usually, you know, with collectors, right, when you see a first release something, that's like, oh, okay, that's the stuff that you need to get, and that's the stuff that usually holds a premium because it's the first release, it's the first thing, kind of like first edition with Pokemon and all that stuff. We know that, alpha, beta, all that other stuff, you know, so I think that's what made people go, ooh, what's happening, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, I think it's good news. Reprints are always kind of good, gives people a chance. I think the stock will be eaten up pretty quick anyway, though. And if they're not changing any of the cards to have a second edition label on it, then it's just like, okay, you know, whatever, you know. I might buy a box just to have a box because it's like, hey, look, I got one that doesn't have second edition, one that does. So if they did put an indicator on the cards for some reason, I think that might change it a little bit. But for the time being, it's just like, whatever, you know. Those are my thoughts. If you agree with them, you know, let me know. If you disagree or if you want to add something, leave it in the comment section below. And I think by next video, I should have a good microphone up and running. So hopefully the audio is great and I can keep giving you guys content, and hopefully the lighting's good enough as well. I know a bit of a boring background, but it is what it is. Reprints are always a great discussion. And if you have any questions, let me know. Always happy to help collectors, even investors. I really don't mind, guys. So let me know. See you guys next time. 2 to 3 days. Bye.